right, so the authority of the Caesar, listen to this, rests on the power of the sword, but philosophers and poets and artists and architects, myth makers and priests rallied around Caesar's brute power to build an entire civilization. So in our country, we had this weird moment, and it's over. It's totally over. But there was a weird moment where the press existed, a free press existed to speak truth to power. And so the idea was you're always punching up. You're always punching against power to take away centralized power from people and give a voice to normal people. That's the idea of the media. The idea of the media is no matter what party's in power, no matter who's in power, you ask hard questions and you get to the truth. That was at least the ideal of the media. Today, in our country, the media, like you cannot have a news station that at the beginning of the station it says, oh, the new news came out, brought to you by Pfizer. Anyways, let's talk about COVID. Like, you can't have a news station brought to you by Pfizer and then talk about COVID. You literally can. If you think what I said is conspiratorial, I just don't know how to say it. You're an idiot. Like, you're an idiot. It literally says brought to you by Pfizer. Like, that's a drug company. Drug companies are allowed to exist and they're allowed to sell their medicine. But you know what should not be allowed to do is to pay for the news that's job it is to tell you if you're getting bamboozled by a pharmaceutical company, right? Like, is that basic logic? You know what? We need to get people to check out if we're being bamboozled. Let's hire a person to check this out. So let's hire, Phaser. It's a subset of this group. Oh, they're independent. They're called Phaser. They might sound like Pfizer, but they're Phaser. They'll look into things and check it out. Like, that's where we are. And so we no longer have speak truth to power, and that's exactly how it always is in history. So when you see what's happening right now, I want you to understand, history is repeating itself. So here's the quote. We always say history repeats itself. And when someone doesn't want you, and sometimes it repeats itself even when you don't want it to happen. But if someone doesn't want you to know history, then they want it to repeat. Do you understand what I just said? History repeats itself, and we should look back and learn from it so it doesn't. But if someone doesn't want you to look back, it's because they want it to repeat. And so when we're saying we're not going to teach American history, we're not going to teach this history, it's because people, that's the truth. And so understand this, the myth makers, the priests, all of them, they rallied around the power, and they built the entire civilization. That's what you see. When Starbucks is like, I'm being so brave because I put a rainbow flag on my coffee cup, who are they punching against? Right? The Augustan age accepted the sword as mightier than the pen. Why? Think of this. The sword, they said, is mightier than the pen because the Romans knew that philosophers and storytellers and writers did not know the truth. Poets such as Virgil used religious myths to write aesthetically superb propaganda that justified Augustus' use of the sword in making himself the divine lord. In all the stories, they made the government right. This disregard for truth made the pen powerless.